Welcome to the countdown. While you wait for the show to begin, try to relax, grab a drink, sit down, and just enjoy the music.
Yeah. Ooh, whoa.
Don't Christina it out.
Okay.
A little bit of land goes a long, long way. If you believe fracking is okay, a little bit of land goes a long, long way. Sign the lease, bring the rigs today. Everybody say money, money,
She looks metallic.
Though I can't quite recall overnight sensation.
Welcome to the Chop. Tonight we talk about season 15, episode 10, the baiting of Loosey LaDuca. The critiques are back and Madonna wins for no reason whatsoever while Malaysia goes home. We're going to have our review, then our Kiki time, but before we do all that, let's greet the mighty chat. We have Sleepy Rabbit, Sen, Johnny Boy Toy, D15, Felicia, Aiden McQueenie, Deborah, Quadonte, Orchidude, Mr. Person Unknowable, Icy, Romans, Amateur Season, It's Woody, Inglomy, Metalhead Girl, Lemon Dropout, Bruce, 359, Apathetic, Feifei, Rosie Art, JW5397, and everybody else that joined in right now. Thank you so much for coming. And Mel W. I just saw Mel W. So we are finally here on this new channel. I hope that everything goes smooth this week. There is something that you have to know. YouTube kindly told me that the channel is new, so the channel is limited because they don't know if I am a genuine creator. Despite the fact that I've been on this platform for, almost 7 years at this point, and they have everything about me. They have my name, my document, my bank account, my address, my number. They have everything, but the channel is limited because it's a new channel. So they told me, unfortunately, you are limited in your ability to publish video and live stream. And I was like, okay, what are the limit? How long can I live stream? Oh, it's not defined, I'm sorry. I was like, okay, great, that's fantastic. So we're going to do our live stream. If at some point the live stream goes down, I guess, I will start another one on the main channel until YouTube decides that this channel is legitimate. I don't know at this point. I stopped asking myself questions, but I remind you one thing. Whenever the rules are not really put out in a very clear manner, that's usually a control technique. I don't give you limit, so you try to limit yourself as much as possible, which I think, yes, it might work, but at the end of the day, for many people, YouTube is actually a job. For other people, it's a moment to come together and spend some time together, and not knowing if your live stream goes down from a moment to another, it makes you want to kind of leave the platform altogether. I mean, but apart from that, I will save you all of this. Let's dive into this juicy episode. What did you think, chat? Did you like this episode? Was it nice? Did you feel gaslit a little bit? I did, the tiniest bit. So, let's dive into the baiting of Loosey LaDuca. We start with Spice being eliminated and sent home, And a nice confessional of Mistress, telling us that Spice was like a daughter to her. Now, at this point, you should know that Malaysia Babydoll Fox told us many, many times that she adopted Spice, while Mistress became the drag mother of Sugar. Malaysia became the drag mother of Spice. But this storyline was completely taken out of the edit. We saw nothing of that. Instead, we have Mistress coming out and telling us that she was like a mother to Spice. And there is a reason for that. By the end of the episode, Malaysia is going to go home without any kind of clear storyline for herself, without making it all the way to the top. While here we have Mistress being the center of the season, next to Madonna, of course, and taking on to her this part of Malaysia's storyline. So I thought that was a nice touch from production to kind of confirm to us time and time again that these queens are our top two. So, I forgot to tell you one thing. I forgot to tell you one thing before we move on to the next slide. We don't have super chats on this channel. If you would like to support, there is a Patreon link in the description. But for the moment, comments at Top RPDR videos. That's the only way that they will be highlighted for me. Otherwise, I just see a stream of comments and I have to go through all of them. And you know how I am. I have 3,000 things opened and I can rarely track everything. So, we go back to the sofa and it's time to shit on Loosey. So, everybody is congratulating Madonna on her win. And of course, Loosey is bitch-facing, because why not? She comes in a confessional, remarking that she has 3 wins, 1 Maxi challenge and 2 mini challenges. She's basically triggered. We don't know where that confessional actually comes from. We're just going to take it at face value. She was bitch-facing at Madonna and she's pissed in a confessional. So she's clearly the villain. She's clearly the villain at this point. Boy, we got that prediction wrong. So, Mistress starts laughing because Loosey is pissed. I don't know how to feel about it. But she also comes in a confessional telling us that Loosey is fake and she is competitive. Of course, in all of this, we have Loosey bitch-facing, we have shady noises, you know, the whole thing that we usually have when they're trying to push a last-minute villain edit onto somebody. So, after all of this, you might think, okay, it's over, it's done, we're done with it. No, because Marsha is not really happy that she didn't win last challenge. So, of course, we have another confessional of Loosey telling us that everybody is going to be allowed to be upset about not winning, except for her. She's clearly triggered. She's clearly triggered at this point. So I think these confessionals from Loosey were actually filmed after this episode was over, because as we are going to see, they're going to fuck it up majorly during the critiques and assigning who gets to win, who gets to lip sync, and who is safe. Regardless, while Marsha is saying all of this, Loosey is pissed in a confessional. Then Mistress comes in another confessional telling us that Loosey is fake. She acts like a nice girl, but she is really a bitch. And it's not a good look. I mean, you finish looking at this and I was thinking, okay, they are pushing this way too hard. Mistress is completely on board with all of this. I don't understand if she's taking the joke too far or if she understood which kind of game is being played in there. And at the end of the day, if you are not the villain, and if you cannot identify the villain, then, you know, you might be the villain. So if you start seeing that production is starting to push a little bit of bullshit, it's best if you go along with it. Not too bad, but it's best to go along with it. And after all, let's not forget about one thing. Everybody is being fake on this show, one way or the other. You have to produce yourself either to hide something. Some people do that, but most of all to protect yourself from editing and production, because you don't want to go on this show and spend a ton of money and then find out that your career is completely over. So everybody is a little bit produced. But seeing it coming from Mistress, this is the difference for me between just being shady as a way of being fun and just playing the game. Because she's still the same person that in a matter of 5 minutes actually changed their mind about the twins, you know? In the time that it took to actually realize that they had 8 million followers, she went from, they are young, they are annoying, to, these twins are actually kind of endearing. And I'm like, I'm totally I changed my mind as well. It's not like I didn't change it, but I didn't change it in the span of 5 minutes, I can tell you that much. So I'm like, yes, everybody is being a little bit fake, but there is a difference between being shady and having fun and actually starts pushing narratives that you can clearly see the producers want to go in that direction. So I ended up finishing this episode liking Mistress a little bit less. I do understand this is all work at the end of the day, and everybody knew what they signed on for, but this is where I have my personal limit. So, it's a new day in the workroom. RuPaul announces the Maxi challenge is going to be a one-on-one interview. So Ru decides who interviews who, Ru or production if you will, and the queens decide how the interview is actually conducted. So they decide which queens get which setting. You're either on the sofa, or you are outside, or you are in the kitchen. Please note this thing, because at the end of the day, I thought, well, it's kind of weird that the big girls ended up being the one cooking in the kitchen, but then I realized, wait a moment, the queens actually decided that. So, you know, I just wanted to point that out. So our guest stars are going to be Charo, Frankie Grande, and Love Connie. Now, let's go into this challenge. This was not one of my favorite challenges. I don't think it works very well in this kind of setting. It's very easy to manipulate. The confessionals were incredibly intrusive. It's not as bad as an acting challenge, but it could have been better. So let's go down this road and start with Salina. Salina gives good face. Ain't nobody tell you that Salina doesn't give good face. Love Connie talks and talks, and she's basically reacting to everything. I think it's camp. I do understand exactly what's going on in there, and we have a confessional also telling us, well, you know, it's difficult to focus. Love Connie talks so much and talks and talks and talks. It's difficult to actually conduct an interview. So while I do understand that your guest can be difficult, I do appreciate the way you cope with the difficulties. I mean, she was giving camp. I liked it. By no means, this interview was not the best, but to me, it was also not the worst, by far. It was a safe performance. Blazing, did we talk about Loosey Franken's sentence in the preview already? No, we didn't talk about that, mostly because I didn't have time to make clips and show the full extent of the shitting on Loosey. If we want to go down that rabbit hole, there is also a scene that was actually sent to me by Hector on Twitter, where you can see Loosey teleporting in order to bitch face when Anitra makes a joke saying, well, it's okay. Everybody can complain about being safe, but not Loosey. Loosey cannot. And Loosey actually teleports to bitch face. So I spared you all of that because I think that we know what's going on in here. But, you know, if it becomes really, really bad, I guess we will have to make a video and bring all of that shit together so that we can clearly expose all of the bullshit that has been going on in there. Eric, do you think all US interview shows are like that, or was it RuPaul's thing to stick coffee enemas on each guest? I think the guests were instructed. Because everything is a little bit too peculiar. Like, with Salina, Love Connie is very, very talkative, doesn't give her time to breathe, doesn't really give her time to ask questions. While with Lux, she was really in on everything, if you know what I mean. So, Salina, let's get a general idea. For me, Selena was not bad. For me, she was safe. She did the best she could. I had fun watching this. It was one of the few where I actually had fun watching it. I thought that seeing her a little bit uncomfortable was came out as very funny. Not funny enough to be a good performance by any means, but for me, she was safe. Moving on to Lux. Basically, Lux is rolling with the punches real good. Lovecon is also helping her a lot, but generally she's doing a good job. She seems very comfortable. It's not exactly an interview. It feels more like a chit-chat, but at the end of the day, it's really fun and it's edited in a very, very positive way. So I would say that this was a good performance, certainly better than Selena. Moving on to Mistress, and this is where I start to get some problems, because yes, you can see that she is nervous. I don't understand why. I don't really understand why. But the show edits her so that we can see all of that. We see her stumble a little bit, we see her break character and starts laughing, and she's the only one for which we see all of this. And also, while the performance goes on, sometimes you have Connie talking, and you have just reaction shots of Mistress not saying anything. And I mean, by this, but this is episode 10. We know that Mistress talks. Even when she doesn't know what to say, she talks. She just doesn't stay there silent. But we have something like 3 or 4 reaction shots of Mistress just being there, giving face, not saying anything, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where this is going. I can see where this is going. By any means, this performance was not good. We also have a confessional from Madonna telling us that the performance is not good. Nevertheless, it was edited to actually look much worse. But don't worry, she won't be in the bottom. We just want to humanize her a little bit. We just want to see her vulnerability. Do you remember the vulnerability? This is something that we used to have a lot in the earlier season. Then RuPaul stopped saying that, because otherwise the audience would catch on a little bit too much on what was going on. So, at the end of the day, for me, this was the worst performance so far. So far. She was also edited like shit. Moving on to Madonna. Now, she's interviewing Charo. Now, I'm sorry if it comes off as disrespectful. I didn't understand a fuck of what Charo was saying. I desperately needed subtitles. She has a very, very thick accent and she speaks very, very quickly. I couldn't understand anything. I don't know, maybe if you're native English, it's better. I couldn't understand shit. Regardless of all of this, Charo is doing everything. Madonna is basically there trying to do her best, but it's not really good because she's mostly laughing at whatever Charo is doing. It's Charo's show, period. We have a good confessional from Malaysia, but at the end of the day, for me, this interview was not good. It was not as bad as Mistress, but it was definitely worse than Selena, in my opinion. Moving on to Marsha. Now, Marsha seemed very prepared. As usual, I can't understand the fuck of what Charo is saying. Also, Anitra is telling us that in a confessional, so that we don't feel too lonely about that. I don't think this interview was particularly good. I don't think it was particularly bad. It was on par with what Selena was doing. Definitely Lux did better. So as far as performances, what we've seen so far, for me, Lux is still the best that we have seen. Marsha is not doing bad. She's definitely better than Madonna and Mistress, but nowhere near the top. Jennifer, do you think they filmed this twice? No, I think they said that this was all done live. So one take and that's basically it, which also kind of explains why we saw some strange edits in order to make the queens look kind of worse than what they actually did, especially with Mistress. Amateur, all I can think is the inner saboteur, not the inner saboteur. Metalhead Girl, it feels like this interview was the longest. Which one? I think I went on too far. I should have stopped for the comments. Jennifer, I speak perfect Spanish and English, and I don't understand anything that Charo says. Thank you. Thank you. I feel part of a group. Santiago, don't worry, I'm Hispanic and I was also struggling understanding Charo. Thank God I had subtitles. Thank God I had subtitles. Gothboy UK, I'm native English and speak some Spanish and I couldn't understand much of Charo. Yeah, I mean, I'm not laughing at Charo. I'm laughing about me being completely clueless for 3 minutes straight and then reminding myself, oh, wait a moment, I have subtitles. I can turn them on. Weasel, would you say that Charo's just talking would be equivalent to me explaining how to make spaghetti? No, your spaghetti is better. Your spaghetti is better. The Madonna one. Yes, it was pretty long. Metalhead Girl. Yes. Moving on to who do we have next? Who do we have? Loosey. Now, Loosey for me was the best one. She is doing amazing. She's professional. She's asking questions. It feels like an interview. It feels also like we are having fun. It feels like we are really in our living room having a nice talk about each other's, having a guest. I think this was really, really the best one by far, almost by a landslide. Loosey knows how to conduct an interview. There is no doubt about that. I think despite the edit, everybody saw that this was a winning performance. Honestly, if I gotta be really, really honest, this is the only one that felt like a real interview. Everybody else felt like they were trying to do their best in whatever setting they were in. This one was the only one that felt like a real interview. I got a little bit of... it reminded me of the challenge in season 6. Do you remember? When we had Cher's mother and Chas Bono. So, moving on to Anitra. Now, Anitra is outside. She's doing good. She's kind of rolling with the punches. It's basically as good as Lux. It doesn't really feel like an interview, but it's fun. She's doing well. Frankie looks comfortable. I don't think it's as good as what we had with Loosey, but definitely a little bit more than average. Anitra was doing really, really good for me. Moving on to Malaysia. Basically, Frankie is doing everything. Malaysia is trying to desperately conduct the interview, but it seems like the input for this segment was Frankie is going to explain how to make an Italian pizza. And she just let him do his thing, not really understanding what was really going on. Of course, it doesn't help that she looked kind of overwhelmed by the whole experience. By far, she is not really doing good. I'm just saying it's a little bit suspect that the whole segment starts with him explaining how to cook and do all of these things, and she just stays there like, from a moment to another, oh, okay, so this pizza dough magically appeared and you decided spontaneously to start making this into a tutorial, but I had to ask you a question. It feels like bullshit. It feels like a lot of bullshit. Like this was pre-planned so that at the end, during the critiques, the judges could come and say, oh, he was doing the interview. You should have interviewed him. It felt like a crock of shit. I gotta be honest with it. It felt like a crock of shit. Of course, Malaysia is uncomfortable. We can see that. She's not really doing good. We can see that as well. But the edit took it to the next level. So, this is what I think about this. It's highly, highly suspicious. Jennifer, sorry if this has been answered. In your opinion, do you think Loosey is getting a delusional or villain edit? Now, I wouldn't know how to even define a delusional edit, because delusional aspects are used as part of different kind of edit. So I wouldn't say that there's really such a thing as a delusional edit by itself. They are definitely trying to push her into a villain edit. I don't know how much she's actually acting it. as if she knows what's going on, and she's trying to fuel it a little bit without losing track of also making it a little bit human, showing, a side of her that can laugh about it. So I don't know much about that, but definitely she's not getting a professional edit. She is clearly, they are clearly trying to trigger her, and it's working. I wouldn't go yet so far as calling it a villain edit. We need to see the next episode to really knock it down, but this has all marks of a villain edit. Because we have a tons of fucked up confessionals. We have a ton of how can I say, curious confessionals telling us how to interpret different situations that can have different interpretations. But the confessionals always seem to come at the right moment, so that whenever you're in doubt, you immediately jump to that conclusions. Then, of course, we have video edits, we have the shady noises, and we have the overall narrative of the season, plus the fact that she is being clearly gaslit at this point, in part by Mistress, mostly by production and the critiques. So these are all the hallmarks of a villain edit, period. There is not much going around that. So, moving on to back to the workroom, because it's elimination date and we have a mirror moment for Madonna. But make no mistake, this is not an emotional mirror moment. This is more like a story time moment. She is telling this anecdote of when she worked with Beyonce, and she said, "Oh, Sasha, this is fierce," and that's where the Sasha Fierce came from. It's story time. I mean, at this point, it feels like a winning lap for Madonna. The fact that in a 40-minute episode, in a season where we had 16 queens, mirror moments come at a premium. So the fact that they used one of those to elevate her even more, I think it speaks really, really volumes at this point. It's not even used as an emotional moment. It's basically celebration, exposition, call it however you want. For me, this is further confirmation that she's basically the winner of this season. And that's the winner that they want. And that's the winner that they want us to like. Moving on to the main stage. First of all, thanks Zaldi for letting Mama look presentable. It was refreshing for once. The hilarious Ross Matthews is not here, thank God. We have T.S. Madison. I'm not going to go through the runway. I think that everyone looked great. Instead, let's jump directly to the critiques.
Bullshit. 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 That's bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
That's a joke. Every fucking time. I was being realistic.
Realistic with bullshit? Girl, bullshit. You are a fucking liar.
2 lakhs. Michelle, you handled the interview really well. Yes, I do agree with that. I thought the interview was genuine. But then again, me too. She was not the only one. So at this point, I'm waiting to see if Michelle compliments other queens on how genuine they were in their interview, and if she has these compliments for them as well. Spoiler alert, she doesn't. And then Michelle continues, "I liked your line of questioning." It feels like, Love Connie was at the police station where he was being questioned. There was no line of questioning. They were chit-chatting. Occasionally, Lux managed to put a question in. That was it. There was no line of questioning. Regardless, Michelle enjoyed that. I did enjoy it too. Let's jump on to Mamaru. And Mamaru, careful. Mamaru. This is an iconic look for you, Lux. It's great. Wink, wink. I'm sure Mr. Mackey will love that. And I was looking at this, and I was thinking, RuPaul is trying really, really, really hard not to say that Lux was born to do drag. This is what I was thinking. She's trying her best not to say that she was born to do drag. And then Mamaru continues to piss all over her stage because ain't nobody forget that this is her show. She said, well, I wore that outfit before Beyonce, actually. But you know, you look great, kiddo. You look great. And you were born to do drag. Moving on to Mistress. Yes, I was disappointed because you want to make the audience do this stuff with you. And I was like, that sentence feels chopped a little bit. It feels like she was saying something and then she was chopped at a point in which it meant absolutely nothing. I will read it again to you. T.S. Madison, quote, I was disappointed because you want to make the audience do this stuff with you. I don't get it. I don't get it. Language barrier? Maybe. To me, it feels like she added something more. She explained it, but we don't get it. Which stuff is she talking about? Was she talking about cooking? Was she talking about sharing the stage? We don't really know. We move on to Mamaru. Some of the warmth of relating to the food was missing. Because you have to understand, the moment you have a big girl on screen and food, it's clearly comfort food. It cannot be anything else. This is the only thing that Mamaru understands relating to that specific setting and that specific kind of people, I would say. If I would quote RuPaul's inner saboteur, kind of people. So I don't understand the warmth of relating to the food. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. Maybe she had a coffee enema. Maybe she is still high on sniffing Lux. Sometimes I have a feeling that RuPaul takes these younger queens and just dries their sweat and sniffs it in the bathroom and then comes to the stage for the critiques. Yeah, I know it's really, really fucked up. But at the end of the day, to look that beautiful, you have to do something and it has to work. So moving on to Michelle. Michelle loves the dress. She thinks that it's joke and glamour at the same time, and it's a toot. It's a toot for me too. Then we go back to Mamaru. This is the most beautiful you ever looked, mistress. This is your destiny, child. Wink, wink. Mamaru is so funny. Good lord. Ain't nobody think that mistress is in the bottom, because she's clearly not going to be in the bottom. RuPaul loves her too much for that. And it's also part of the storytelling. Moving on to Selena. Michelle, you look so pretty. I don't know, every time Michelle says the word pretty, what I do understand is purdy. You look so purdy. You had a strong moment, but you kept talking over her. And I was like, she wasn't talking over her. She was trying to intercept Love Connie because Love Connie was vomiting a ton of words on Selena. Yet somehow she managed not to do that with everybody else. But at the end of the day, the timing was difficult, especially if somebody is not going to want to find the timing with you. If it just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and ignores you when you try to intercept and doesn't put in any pause for you to intercept. And I mean, at the end of the day, I get it. You're a guest in there. You've been paid. You have to do your job. But still, bullshit is bullshit, regardless of the fact that you've been paid for it or not. So at this point, Selena tries to explain, but she's basically dismissed by T.S. Madison bitch-facing. And after that, we actually get something from T.S. Madison saying, you were stuck in your head, and it showed on your face. At this point, we see clips of Selena looking completely lost. Do I agree with that? Partially. Only partially. The only thing that I really did like about this critique from T.S. Madison is that at some point she says, quote, you gotta treat that like a ugly piece of trade. And thank God for T.S. Madison for reinforcing the real meaning of trade. Trade doesn't mean that you're hot, period. I don't understand which twink joined the fan base 4 years ago and decided that trade would mean hot. It doesn't. Trade is a trade. And sometime you get a ugly piece of trade. And T.S. Madison knows very well the meaning of that. By that, I do not imply that she did trade. I imply that she knows the culture. Let's be clear about that. So, thank you for explaining that. Moving on to Mamaru. The key to interviewing is listening. You can see how disconnected she is from everything. Like, everybody else is like, Selena, you interrupted too much. And Mamaru is like, you have to listen. You know, it's an interview. You don't have to make questions. You just have to listen. Let the other one do everything. I wonder if at some point we will get a critique where somebody is told that this same thing is a bad thing. Like if we get to somebody and their critique is going to be, oh, you let the other person do everything and you didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Because during the critiques, everything is the contrary of everything. So, of course, we're going to see this critique. Of course, we're going to see it with Malaysia. But at this point, we're still at Selena. So if you don't listen, then you're not doing the interview properly. Tune in 3 minutes to see that the opposite is actually true. Moving on to Madonna. Brace yourselves, because this is a mouthful. Michelle, what you're wearing is almost identical, and it's just wonderful. I agree, it is. That's not the only almost identical dress that we have there. It would have been nice if we saw that same critique given to everybody else who did a wonderful job. T.S. Madison, in the challenge, you have Charo, who has big dick energy. Period. After that, T.S. was cut again. So we don't know what she means. We don't know how the sentence ends. She's just saying that Charo has big dick energy. Whatever it means. Michelle, you matched her enough without trying to one-up her. But your generosity with her is what you need with someone like her. Translation. Charo was doing everything and you fucked it up. But it's okay because you're Madonna. That's the basic translation. She's trying her best to transform the fact that basically Madonna was lost during the challenge into something that it's positive. Oh, you were generous. You gave her time to be herself. You let her be in her element. Mamaru, your ease with letting her be her, the just going with it, it felt so good. Translation. You fucked it up. But then again, like Michelle says, you're Madonna, so it's a good thing. Then Mamaru continues, my favorite part was throwing the cards away, letting the audience know that we're going to have some fun here. I did not have fun watching that. I felt awkward watching that, and the throwing out the punch card, it felt really stiff. It felt like not natural at all, like she was desperate and said, okay, what can I do? Oh, let's go to the trope of throwing the cards away and calling it a day. I thought that Madonna was really in difficulty during this challenge. Charo, of course, was not easy to deal with, but transforming a bad performance into a winning one, it's a little bit too much, and it shows. Then we go back to T.S. Madison. You and Charo spoke to the audience. You acknowledge me as a viewer. So, right now for you all, I have a question. Did you feel acknowledged as a viewer while watching Madonna's performance? Because first, I don't think I understand the question. Second, no, I didn't feel like they were breaking the fourth wall, if that's what she meant. I don't think it was done really well. I don't think it was done at all. I don't understand what the fuck is going on. I am completely out of it. My suspension of disbelief, it's completely dead. It's 6 feet under. At this point, I'm like, okay, how are we going to gaslight Loosey at this point? Because that's the only thing that I'm thinking of. Moving on to Mamaru. Have you hosted a television show before? Wink, wink. And Madonna is like, well, no, in my dreams. She knows that she wasn't good. She's not trying to go with the edit, which I do appreciate. She's not trying to go with the narrative. I really appreciate the honesty with it. But RuPaul, she is the producer, no? So she continues, listen, Skiddo, you're a natural at it. And I'm like, no, she is not a natural at it. She has many talents. She has, undoubtedly. Talk show is not one of it, period. And we love you, Madonna. We really love you, and you are one of our winners for this season. But this was not a good challenge, period. Good thing that you know that. Because if people keep enabling bullshit like this, you end up making a mock of yourself, thinking that you are furthering your career, and in reality, you just look like an idiot. So, this is what I think about it. Moving on to Malaysia. Michelle, you look beautiful, you did well. Period. T.S. Madison, when you walked in the kitchen, the roles switched. Were you scared of this challenge? You have to display your big personality in the challenge. I agree, but then again, didn't we hear 5 minutes ago people being praised for letting the guests do their thing and not overshadowing them? But somehow for Malaysia it's the opposite, because she has to be in the bottom. So at this point, Malaysia kind of, I think she realizes on stage the kind of bullshit that's been going on, the fact that the same thing is a point of praise for some queens, and it's a point of critiques for some other queens. I think she knows that she's going home. So at this point, she starts rarely, in a rare moment, she opens up and she says, well, I felt intimidated. To which Mamoru replies, what do you think it's stopping you? Wink, wink. Come on, this is your moment. Give me some cries. And Malaysia starts explaining that, you know, she's afraid of taking chances. She feels more comfortable just by taking the safe road. And Mamoru is like, all right, thank you. That's it. That's it. She gets like 10 seconds to say, you know, things like the insecurity that comes from, you know, wanting to do well, but also being afraid of making a mock of yourself. So what you end up is just being forgettable, being in the middle, being stuck in the middle. And we could have talked for a good 1 minute about that. It would have been an incredible emotional moment for the show, but we don't have time for that. So Mamoru is like, all right, thank you, bye-bye, that's it. Moving on to Loosey. Michelle, you made that moment of Beyonce revealing her pregnancy even draggier. Was it draggier? Possibly. T.S. Madison, it was your challenge. You have to meet your guest where they are, and you did that, whatever that means. Michelle, he felt comfortable in your presence, and we got some real Frankie. Really well done. I agree with all of this. But at this point, because you have to understand, we have too many compliments. So Mamoru comes in, and she starts, well, I gotta tell you, he accused the doctor of sticking spiders on him. You should have asked a follow-up question. It was an obvious one, Loosey. Why didn't you ask that question, Loosey? And I'm like, where was Mamoru during all of the other people that we critiqued so far? Because to none of them told them what they should have asked, what they could have really done better. She mostly, you know, confirmed what everybody else was saying. But Loosey doesn't have to win. This is her moment to be triggered, to be pushed over the edge. So, of course, Mamoru comes in and says, well, you missed, that was good, but you missed this thing, unfortunately, and this tiny thing, unfortunately, will keep you from winning. I'm sorry, Loosey, I'm just doing my best, but you didn't ask that question. That's the problem. It's not that we're doing a television show and we need a villain and we need a little bit of drama. It's, you know, that you didn't ask that question. This is the literal meaning of gaslighting. And I hate that during the show they are allowed to do this by contract. By contract, emotional abuse is allowed. It's insane. I know it's insane. But, you know, Loosey is an older queen. She is an experienced queen. I hope that by the next episode she takes a good night's sleep, understands what's going on, and we don't end up with a second Jan, because Jan believed everything. Jen believed everything. It was uncomfortable, doesn't even begin to describe how I felt while watching All Stars and the gaslighting on Jen's board. Regardless, at the end of this, critiques, Madonna wins. I do not agree. I think Loosey should have won. Lux and Loosey are deemed high. I agree partially. I think that Lux and Anitra should have been high. Marsha and Anitra are safe. For me, it would have been Marsha and Selena. Mistress is low. For me, should have been Madonna. And in the bottom, we have Selena and Malaysia. For me, should have been Mistress and Malaysia. So maybe next time I'll make a chart side by side so it's also clearer to see what I thought and what the judges actually did. Did I agree with everything that went on? Like 30% of it, maybe 40%. I do not agree on the winner. I do not agree on the bottom two. I partially agree on who's high and who's safe, and I don't agree with whoever is low. This episode was completely fucked up, which is really bad because I had a ton of fun watching the episode before. And I think you can also see it in the way I do the review. I didn't like this episode. It pissed me the fuck off. And mostly because I like drama. Yes, I do like it, but not when it comes at the expense of gaslighting people. It's just a tad too much for my taste. I like it when it's campy. I like it when it's stupid. I like it when it's so over the top that nobody will take it seriously. That's what I like. So, not a good episode. I didn't like this. No. Moving on to the lip sync real quick. I think Selena did a wonderful job. Malaysia didn't do bad, but I mean, Selena was shining. Period. Malaysia doesn't seem, she's not a lip sync assassin by any means. She's doing her best, she is trying, but there is really no competition in this. I mean, Selena pissed all over the stage and she got to stay, which is a good thing because she deserved to stay. Now, before we move on to our Kiki time, let me go back to the comments. Did I miss some comments? Yes, I did. Jennifer, Mamaru is the real Beyonce. She wish. I think Beyonce is worth like $1 billion or something, or very close to that. But Mamaru, it's just, I think, about 60 millions at this point. Not considering how much money of that comes from, her husband's activity. Amateur season. Is Mamaru more haha funny than the hilarious Ross Matthew? I don't know. It depends. She has good moments, but Ross Matthews is mostly a pain in the ass 100% of the time. Metalhead Girl. I think with Selena, if she didn't interrupt, they would have said that she needed to find a moment where she can jump in and ask. Well, yes, absolutely. Because as we see, the critiques, they're called critiques for a reason, because they lack internal consistency. What does it mean? It means that they lack the ability of meaning the same thing every time. They contradict themselves within the same episode, not to mention across episodes or across different seasons. And this goes for everything. I mean, I call them critiques for a reason. They basically mean nothing. At this point, I just watch them to see, okay, let's see which kind of bullshit they're going to pull. But, the moment you have Queen number 1 and you critique her for letting the guest run the show, then you have Queen number 2 and you say, oh, no, with you, if the guest runs the show, it's perfectly fine. And then you go back and say, oh, no, you didn't really do your job very well, or critique you for trying to do your best instead of pointing out that, yes, you tried to do your best. The guest was a difficult one. So, it's very, very bullshit. I think this was a terrible episode. Possibly the worst of the season. There was a lot of bullshit going on. I mean, also during the Lollapalooza, we have a lot of bullshit. But I don't think, for me, it was this bad. Because, yeah, I mean, 3/4 of the lip syncs were basically rigged at this point. But at least at the end of it, nobody went home completely. Not went home. Nobody was left. None of the queens was left completely gaslit about what happened. That's what I think of it. When we see what happens to Loosey, not only from the production but also from Mistress, it's a little bit too much for me. It's a little bit too much. I do understand joking. I love joking. I love making fun of things. I love making fun of things that people are ashamed of with their consent, because that's the best way to stop being ashamed of things that you believe that you should feel ashamed by. But the moment the other person shows that he's uncomfortable with it, that's your signal to stop. That's your signal to say, okay, this is not just getting desensitized about something. This is not just saying another side of something that you feel like you should be ashamed, that in reality it's perfectly normal. This has gone to a step further. It has become uncomfortable. When that moment comes, you stop. And she didn't. The signals, I think, were really, really clear, but she didn't, because she is competitive just as much as everybody else. She has her eyes on the prize. And at the end of the day, if that specific person is not the villain, it could be you. So it's better if it's somebody else. How do I feel about that? Not particularly good, but at the end of the day, these queens are working. So one instance is still okay. If it goes on a little bit too much, it starts becoming not really okay to me. What should we do? Should we take a little bit of a pause, go smoke a cigarette, shaking it up, and then we move on to the Kiki time? I'm sorry if I ran during this review, but I'm always afraid that the stream will be cut midway. So I try to run as best as possible. So let's take 5 minutes, go smoke a cigarette, go to the toilet, get something to drink, get some chips, get whatever you want, and I will see you back in a moment.
You don't need to be chill. I don't ever play it cool. You don't need the right skills. Don't need the right tools. You just need the guts to seize it. To seize it in the middle. You don't exactly know it, but you know it needs a little breaking up. Shake it up. Shake it up. When things start to settle down. Shake it up. Like it's a snow globe town. The city's like a bottle of sparkling wine. Pour it open, let's take some time. actual cures. When getting money's our religion and love is a need. We sit and watch while our country bleeds. I'm gonna stop trying to get off the hook, and I really don't care if everybody looks. Shake it up. Let me tell you, baby steps won't work. Shake it up, shake it up. Okay, it just might hurt. The city's like a bottle of sparkling wine. Before I blow it open, let's take some time. Shake it up. Shake it up. Shake it up. Shake it up.
And we're back. Checking a couple of things on the channel. 1 second. Nope. Nope. Oh, there we go. Here it is. How do I do it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Good lord, I forgot that it's not at Top RPDR Videos, is at the Chop Live, which means I lost a ton of comments probably. Day 15, I find it unfair that they interviewed 3 different people. One is a lunatic drag queen, one is a crazy Latina with a thick ass accent, and the last one is a basic gay. They still fucked up the edit. Yes, I do agree with that. It's much more honest if we have only one person and every queen interviewing that one person. On the other hand, it can become boring for the guest to go through 8 different interviews. So I do understand the difference, but it also makes it much easier to completely, fuck up and send home whoever you want to send home, regardless. I mean, Malaysia didn't really do well. We all saw that, but she was not the only one. Period. Damien, Malaysia is the 3rd to be sent home by Selena. Selena is our 3rd lip sync assassin of the season, and deservingly so. Deservingly so. I do not agree that Selena should have been in the bottom as much as she's been. I think it was a little bit convenient, but it is how it is. What can you do about it? This is how the show is run these days. Maybe we should do, like a video discussing all of these things and how Drag Race went completely downhill. We don't have lime water tonight. Got to make it. Good lord. If you get such an iconic song, you better turn your pussoid out. I don't know what that means, but I'll take your word for it. House of Down Boots. I secretly liked the lip sync. I liked it too. I thought it was by far not the worst that we had. By far. It was entertaining. It was a good song. I liked the song. I liked the performances. But, next to Selena, Malaysia looked a little bit low energy, if you will. Where is the lime water? Where is the lime water? Should I prepare some lime water? No. Let's just stick to the chat. Let's just stay here and chit-chat. Felicia, I think they wanted a Jen reaction to all of that. I don't know if you noticed, but after they declared Madonna as the winner, they went to Loosey and they said, well, Loosey, you are safe. And immediately after that, we have a shot of Loosey and then Michelle bitch facing to Loosey, as if her expression it's something that needed to be highlighted by Michelle's reaction. While nothing was happening, there was basically Loosey disappointed and going to the back of the stage, and Michelle bitch facing, as if she was really having a Jen kind of moment. Damien, since when did this show become America's Next Top Jen? Well, Jen's edit was incredibly successful. I don't know if you remember, but a ton of people bought into that. Twitter completely exploded, and I think the show was already on Paramount Plus. Do we have the Paramount Plus? Oh, yes, we have it. Here it is. I think the show was already on Paramount Plus, so they got a lot of clout thanks to that. And a lot of people actually bought into that narrative, which, of course, meant that I overworked and did my best and recruited people from the chat to actually destroy that edit, which was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, there will never be another Jen. What made Jen's villain edit in All Stars so compelling was the fact that Jen genuinely believed what was happening on stage. She genuinely believed the critiques. She was like, okay, they are trying to help me be better. So if they tell me that I am too high energy, I will need to tune it down. The problem is that the next episode they tell me, oh, it felt muted, you didn't have enough energy, and blah, blah, blah. It was, I think, the hilarious Ross Matthew that said this. And I'm like, you know, that's why it worked, because she believed into all of that. She bought into all of that. And when she refilmed the confessionals, she still believed in all of that. So, Damien, remember when Mamoru told Orion she was up for elimination before announcing the winner of the week? No, I removed that. I don't remember that. The only thing that I remember about Orion last season was the love triangle between Orion, Georgina, Cha-Cha, and Diabetica. That was amazing. That was amazing. One of the reasons why season 14 was so iconic. Apart from the shit show of shock value, which was iconic in its own right, the cast and the dynamics between the cast were fantastic. Felicia, do you think we will see a double Shantae this season? If they have 16 episodes, we have to have one. We have to have one. We have to have either a double Shantae or a non-elimination episode or a queen coming back for one episode, whatever it is. We have to have this. Somebody in the comments, I think of the prediction video, said maybe we have a top 3 this year. And that's where the extra episode actually comes from. You know, we usually have our last episode of the season before the reunion and the finale, where we actually see the top 5, and by the end of it, we have our top 4. Or if they really, really fuck it up, we still have a top 5 like last year. But if we have a top 3, that's where our 16th episode is going to come from. Other options are, we don't have 16 episodes, we have 15. I don't believe that to be very probable. I think the top 3 option is more probable, actually. But what I think it's going to happen is we're going to have our 16 episode. That's the basic order. Although they could have reduced it from 16 to 15, but to me it doesn't really make much sense because you order these seasons in bulk. At this point, once a show becomes so successful, so mainstream, and you already have 12 or 13 seasons of it, and it's still going strong, and it's still growing its fan base, you tend to order like 2 or 3 seasons together. That's how it works for all major shows out there, which are, I think Drag Race is syndicated at this point. I don't know if many of you knows what syndication is. It's basically in the US they have many different network, and they had them for a ton of time. So usually for a period of time the network that produces a show, that pays, not that produces, sorry, that pays for a show, they get the right to air that show for a specific amount of time. After that period, which is usually 4 seasons, the show can actually be sold to other networks. That's what it's called, syndication. So you get, as a producer, as a producing company like World of Wonder, you get even more money, because not only you got paid from your main network, now you start getting money from other networks airing your show. So for all of these reasons, I think we're still going to have 16 episodes, and at some point there has to be a non-elimination episode. There has to be. Mario, also this time you demonetized yourself by saying the D word twice. Don't worry, Mario, this channel is not monetized, so we cannot get demonetized. That's one of the plus sides. What are your thoughts of the intact moment with T.S. Madison when she tried to make Malaysia cry for the camera? I mean, I don't dislike T.S. Madison. I don't think she's nowhere near as bad as Money Love, but she is no Nicole Byer. I mean, at the end of the day, she's a trans woman of color. Finding work is more difficult. So if you're paid to push a narrative, you will have to push that narrative. I mean, at the end of the day, outside of Drag Race, she has proven to be more than a decent person. So yeah, I didn't particularly like it, but it didn't particularly rub me the wrong way either. Damien, since when was Diabetica involved with the Lovers? Season 13 was RuPaul's Gag Race. She was. I think I had a special episode about that. I think it was Bussy Rash. That's what I called it, Bussy Rash. It was in a campy style, but yes, the video is still on the main channel. There was a love triangle going on in there. Undoubtedly, and it was amazing to watch. Diabetica was so jealous. Season 13 was 17 episodes because of the Koof special. I didn't consider that an episode by itself for one simple reason. It had nothing to do with the season itself. It felt more as if it was something that was ordered out of the blue in order to push the narrative that the network was being very, very conscious about everything that was going on. The quarantine, respecting distancing, wearing masks, staying safe. We had a lot of ads on VH1 about that. You remember the campaign, stay home, stay safe? It felt like it was a real campaign that went across many different media on VH1 itself. So not only ads, but also other shows, and also RuPaul's Drag Race. So for me, that was not even an part of the order itself. It felt like a last minute thing that was filmed last minute and then pushed in between the season. D15, I know it's terrible what they're doing, but thinking about the entertainment part, I want to see the girls fighting. Yeah, me too, but they don't want to fight. Like, they don't want to be real. They don't want to take out everything. They are trying to managing themselves as much as possible, because you know what's going to happen if they let themselves go a little bit too far. You can only have one Heather, you can only have one redeemed villain. Everybody else, it's pretty much fucked up. So, you know, it's hard. What can you do? I mean, at the end of the day, if World of Wonder doesn't prove time and time again that they are not going to pull this kind of bullshit, so the girls become confident and they can be like, okay, we go there, we just let ourselves be however we feel, speak whatever we think, and it's just for show, period. Nobody will connect all of this into our ability to be professionals when we are in drag, or into a judgment of who we are in our entirety. It's a show done in a very pressure environment, filmed in a very, very short amount of time, where you are overworked, underslept, gaslit, and, you know, unless this become really clear and people do understand this message, those queens are not going to run the risk. And personally, I perfectly understand it. Bacon Boy, I find it crazy that this is the third season in a row where episode 10 has some sort of problem. The season 13 makeover, the season 14 snatch game, and now this episode. It's a happy coincidence, isn't it? But maybe at this point, you reach a point in which you have to let some girls go for some reason. Personally, I saw many episodes where we had major problems, but, you know, I do expect it, especially near the end of the season. Damien, money, love, wishes. She was T.S. Madison. You know, every time my partner asks me, who is money, love? And I tell her about the way. Tell her, my God. Yes, let's call him her. And I tell him, well, remember the whale joke. And he gets it. Jacob, if there is a double Shantae, who do you think will lip sync in it? Whoever makes it the most dramatic. So I would say Anitra versus Sasha could be a good prediction of it. Who else could it be? Maybe Lux versus Sasha? One of the two. I think having Sasha in the bottom, knowing that nobody's going to go home, will really help. Or maybe we have a simply a non-elimination episode at the end of the season, like they used to do. You know, I think until season 12 we had this. Season 12 or season 13, I don't remember. But for a long time, we had a last episode that was basically a non-elimination episode. The 15. By the way, what happened to the wedding paper with Mr. Invisible? They expired. I need to go back and do them again. We didn't go through with it yet. I don't know if it's our way of being like, this feels weird. This feels like a real commitment. Like, you need to think about it. And I don't know. It's like nobody is bringing it up. We are trying to cope with the whole thing. So, but we did go to visit the doggy yesterday. He is cute. It's cute doggy. He is 10 years old and has behavioral problems because, of course, you know, if dogs end up in a shelter, there is a reason for that. So it's going to be difficult to decide if we take him, if they let us take him, because this dog has been in a shelter for 8 years. He was surrendered when he was 2. Then they tried to house him in with different people that were supposedly experts. They had experience, they knew how to deal with difficult dogs, yet they surrendered the dog again after 3 or 4 days, not even a week. And I'm like, if you know what you're dealing with, the basic time to judge if you can deal with the whole thing, if you can be effective, is at least a month. If you give up after 3 days, to me it means that you had no idea what you were getting into. So we'll have to see about that. also keep in mind that I don't know how things work in your country. You don't just go to a shelter and get a dog. You have to go through a whole process to see, you fit, if it's a good fit, if it works, if you have space, and all of these things. So it takes time. It takes a lot of time. But we will see. We will visit him again next Saturday and see where it goes. Damien, I could go one of three ways for Madonna. Number one, no placement below safe. Number two, she earns only one low placement before the finale. Number three, one bottom, but it's a double save. I would go with number three. Weaselman, dog RPDR videos content soon. I don't think so. I don't think so. No, not soon. Not soon. Hopefully, we will see. I am officially in love. I don't mind a difficult dog. He's also old, so you take him for a walk for 30 minutes, you get all of the energy out of him already, and then you can start working a little bit. But I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't need a cuddly dog. I like a dog with personality, even if it's a difficult one. House of Down Boots. We would love a new little doggo friend in the live stream. Maybe he's a fan. Oh, the poor baby. He doesn't know how to dog. He doesn't know how to dog. I can tell you that much. Not the process to adopt a dog almost as hard as getting a kid. Not as hard, but similar, because at the end of the day, a dog in a shelter is a dog that is adjusted to that environment. Now, from the outside, you might say, well, it's not really a good life because you don't get out that much, you don't get to travel, you don't get to meet many new people, you never go to the park, you never go to the lake, you never do all of these things that we assume that, make a dog happy. But at the end of the day, if a dog is adjusted to his environment, it means that he is having a good life for himself. So taking him out of that environment to plunge him into a completely new one with different people in a different settings, different smells, different times, different everything, it's already a little bit of a shock. So it's a necessary one if you want to give them a better life, but if you are not sure that it's going to work out, it's an unnecessary one to go through that will also make it more difficult for the dog to adjust the next time the next person comes along. So to me, it makes sense that it takes time. It makes a lot of sense, and I don't have a problem with it. I am in no rush. Paramount indeed. Well, if we get him, I'm going to change the logo. I am going to change the logo. Weasel, I got a Frenchie. Even at 6 years old, is still very much like a human baby. You're stuck with a 2-year-old baby all of the times. Yeah, a doggy is a doggy. When I went to visit him, the woman in there was like, he is aggressive. You bring him home, he's going to be aggressive. It's going to take things and bring them to his place, and it's going to maybe bite you, and maybe it's like this. When kids decides that they have a special object. This usually happens when they start to developing a sense of self. When they are 3-4 years old, usually it's a teddy bear, or another kind of plushie. Usually that's what kids use. And this dog is doing the same, which is super cute if you ask me. It's like, this is all new. I feel uncomfortable. I need something to feel comfortable. Someone that I could trust. So maybe I will steal your shoes and now they're mine. Welcome back, Zen. We will see about that. My partner is not really convinced. He expects a cuddly doggy. Not one that it's going to be, let's be honest, frustrating in a way. Because it goes slow and it takes time. You need to give them time to adjust. You need to give them time to learn, to change their behavior. And at a certain age, it can take a lot of time. With a puppy, all of this would be resolved in 2 months. With a dog this age, it takes basically the rest of his life. Yeah, I know, it is. It is. But at the end of the day, you know, we have this thing. I think the problem is mostly cultural. We have this idea that pet animals are puppies. No, sorry, not puppies. They are like plushies. You can cuddle with them, you can play with them, you can do all of these things with them. And I think that's where most of the problems come from. These are intelligent creatures. They have their own personalities, they have their own problems, their own way of doing things. They're not an accessory in your life, that they will do what you expect them to do. They are companions. And sometimes part of companionship is disagreeing on things or being patient about things that you don't like about each other's. I mean, anyone who is in a relationship knows that there are things about their partners that are really annoying as fuck, but you learn to deal with it because on average it's an evolving thing that's giving meaning to your life. But we don't really have these things with pet animals. They are mostly considered as really an accessory. So for me, it's a little bit different because I had dogs, but recently I had a lot of mice, and mice don't give much back. They take a lot of effort just to take a pumpkin seed from your hand. It takes like 9 months, 1 year of being patient, and they last for 2 years. So, but I do enjoy the process, so it's no problem for me. Do you support castration? Absolutely. Absolutely. I support castration and I support abortion. It's better not to create pain in the first place. This is what I believe. Weasel, we tried a shelter, but a lot of dogs just showed a behavior we couldn't manage. Yeah, I do understand that. I think it's very honest and realistic to realize your own limits and your own expectation and find the best fit at the end of the day. Oh, good Lord. We will see. Do you want to see a picture? My God, I love this dog. I just love this dog. He is super problematic, and I can relate the hell out of it. Let's see, where are they? On the phone. On the phone. One moment. Hermes, what are your prediction for next episode? Sorry for arriving late. No problem at all. I forgot to make predictions. It happens last week already. Good Lord, this has gotten out of hand. Okay, let's do a little bit of predictions, like a little bit, because I don't have much. And at this point, there is not that much to talk about. But let's do that, then we go to the picture. I think next episode, it's basically Marsha's turn to go home. She was spared a villain edit thanks to Loosey, because all of the cards were in there to fuck her up real good. But thankfully, she was supplanted, is that the right word, by Loosey. So at this point, she has no edit whatsoever. She's basically being there. Also, Selena, as the narrator, is almost time to go home. They usually go home 5th, maybe 6th. That's, you know, the usual spot for the narrator to go home. So for me, it's going to either be Marsha or Selena. Now, let's get the picture. Where is it? One moment. My God. Okay, this is one. Do I have another? Yeah, he doesn't like to be in pictures that much. Okay, where's OBS? There we go. So that's him. He's super cute. Let me see if I can, like, no? Maybe here, like this? There we go. There we go. Yeah, he's tiny. He is tiny. And beautiful, and a complete dickhead. It's like, you know, you don't have a relationship with humans. Humans are those things who take you out for walks, where you get to sniff new things and go around things and piss all over things. You know, the humans are not real thing. They are accessories that allows you to do all of these things. So this is the psychology that we are dealing with. But he's really, really cute. He's a cute doggy. And a huge dickhead. A huge dickhead. So, yeah, I convinced my partner to visit him again on Saturday, and we'll see. We'll see. He's not convinced at all, but we will see. And then we will make dog RPDR videos on Paramount. Oh, God. It's been years since I had a dog. Like a ton of time. Amateur. Serve, he is giving. He is giving. He is giving. You know, what I like about what he does is that every time he pees, he needs to cover it up. You know, like cats do in their sandbox. He does the same. But he's a dog. And he does it with the front and the back paws. You know, like a cat. Basically like a cat. He's a cat dog. By the way, I realized that my stream is incredibly late. Like, it takes about 1 minute for whatever I say to actually get to you. Damien, did you see my comment a second ago? No. Where is it? Oh! Does anyone else think Marsha is super adorable or has great eyebrows? No, everybody hates Marsha here. This channel is like the Marsha 8 Brigade. No, I'm kidding. I like Marsha. She reminds me of Pinocchio. In drag or out. Well, Weasel, I had 2 male dogs. None of them did it. It's like a new thing for me. Geometric. Yes, David, it's geometric. For me, she will always be Pinocchio. Oh yes, I do have connection problems. Why is that? Maybe it's the new channel. Weasel, I'll be Stephanie Prince. She had the potential to be Cinnamon Roll like Denali in season 13. Was Denali a Cinnamon Roll in season 13? I don't think so. It was more Tamisha. Tamisha had an incredible edit in season 13. Denali felt more like the Jan of her season, without the believing in all of the bullshit that she was being served. That's how it felt. Like her and Rosé was like they were trying to trigger them every step of the way. No, it wasn't really the same. No, I don't think so. I think Marsha has been mostly underdeveloped in this season. Like, we don't see much. She's just being there. I mean, part of it's because the season is being shown is in 40 minutes episodes, so you don't have actual time to see anyone. But at this point, I would say it's almost as if Marsha is not even there. Do you realize what the term cinnamon roll means? A sweet queen that it's been mistreated and people relate to her? That's how I understand it. I might be wrong. Am I wrong? Nobody knows. We'll find out in 5 minutes when the stream actually goes to YouTube. My God, why is everything so bad? It might be because of the new channel. Why is the category people and blogs? My God. We'll see. Since when was Tamisha a sweet queen who everyone related to? She was in the edit. She was in the edit. Then what happened outside of Drag Race actually confirmed to never really trust the edit of Drag Race, regardless of the direction. Weasel, why is that since season 13 we have had issues with Drag Race? Like season 13 felt too long. Season 14 was too long. Season 15 had its episodes cut last minute. I don't know. I think much of it could have with the fact that we've been having so many spin-offs of Drag Race. It feels like every time a new country comes in and says, okay, we want to buy a license for the franchise and start developing our own version of the show, it feels like part of the team at World of Wonder has to take some of its time off to actually act as a consultant for all of these spin-offs. And the problem is you only have a certain amount of people that can work round the clock. So at some point you will have to hire new people who do not necessarily know by heart how to do their job. And of course, you also have the difficulty of a different kind of episode order. So now you have 16 episode, which is a format that doesn't really work for me. So I think that at some point it all adds up. Felicia Denali is laughing all the way to the bank. She's booked and blessed. She is. She is. I mean, you can do bad on Drag Race from challenge wise, or not even reaching the top 4. But at the end of the day, if you are amazing and you get to show it, that's enough. You basically reached your goal. Rasp says, isn't Cinnamon Roll like Jinx in season 5? Like lovable weirdo? For me, yes, kind of. That's how I understand the term. I mean, the first time that I saw it used was to Max in season 7. And for me, part of the overreaction of people, like the obsessive love, is part of the definition of the term. That's how I understood it. That's how I learned it. Damien, Drag Race can't be cancelled since it will just move over to another network. Did you guys know? I think it was Felicia that sent me an email that they started a new network. It's a collaboration between Blue Ant Media and World of Wonder, only for Drag Race content. I think it premiered in Latin America, but it's also going to open in the US. I haven't looked into it anymore, but the article basically said that they are doing this new thing. So maybe at some point it could be that Drag Race will completely move away from Paramount, which would be a blessing. It would be a blessing. Did you see the Nali ice skating video with the twins? Yes, I saw it. I saw it. At this point, it's a rite of passage. If people like you on Drag Race, you have to make a video with Denali. Period. You have to. Denali is doing so good. I hope she doesn't come back for All Stars. She's doing amazing the way she's doing. Better not gamble it. I would love to see her, but considering what happened in her season, I don't know. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Oh my god, I really want a cigarette. Let's vape. Let's give it a vape. Find it amazing that YouTube still hasn't interrupted the live stream. I mean, I'm happy about it, don't get me wrong. Danielle P. Lourdes. I don't hate Marsha. Can I still stay? Yeah, of course we were joking. We were joking. Don't worry about that. Mario, did you know that amethyst is a type of quartz? No, I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know.
Wow, amethyst is a type of quartz? For that, you can touch my boobies.
Oh, good lord. Where's Amethyst? I want the reunion already. It feels like it's already time for the reunion. Oh, by the way, next week we're starting to get 1-hour episodes again. So it's probably going to be a stream of confessionals from Lux. How thrilling. Damien, I was just watching season 7. Oh, great taste. Great taste. I was just watching season 7 earlier. It really aged like fine wine or cheese. Yes, I told you. It aged so well. It aged so well. Also, I found a bunch of clips from season 7 that did not air in the season. They were like specials released back in the day by Logo TV. It's amazing. I will tell you that much. It's amazing. Weasel, be careful with saying would YouTube want to interrupt you? They might do so. Well, I guess we'll have to see at some point. I guess we'll have to see. I mean, I hope this thing goes away quickly. Also, on the bright side, on this channel, I don't have to remove the live streams from the channel. So they will be in the live section, they can be in the homepage, they're easier to find, which is a good thing. It's basically the only good thing of having the content separated. Well, apart from the algorithm thing. Damien, Drag Race has gone from a parody of America's Next Top Model to a parody of itself. Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. You couldn't have said it better. My god, the connection is so bad. You won't believe it. The connection is so bad. I'm actually almost 1 minute late. I don't understand where it's coming from. Oh, probably because it's the new channel. They probably need to have like a minute of time difference to make sure that no strange thing happens during the live stream. And good lord, what did I get myself into? Damien, Pearl before entering the workroom was scary. Yes, I saw that. They still have it on YouTube. When that clip came out, I swear there were people thinking, is this like a pay site? Is this like one of those sort of movies? Because it feels like. It was embarrassing to watch. Blazing, what I thought we would see some nipple on the new channel. No. San, I'm not going to lie, that amethyst is a type of quartz scared me. I was not paying attention, and then all of a sudden I hear amethyst is a type of quartz. Well, you never know. Mario, stop complaining YouTube is not interrupting me, and YouTube like, girl, here is a 60 seconds time delay, cheers. Yeah, I didn't realize that. But then again, I don't know if it comes off as kind of a spoiled thing to say, but you would expect that after creating content for 7 years, you earned a little bit of trust, you know? The minimum amount of trust that you create another channel under the same account and get a little bit of something, but you don't. You don't. You are fucked no matter what. Orchid, do you watch the RuPaul's videos of Muniz on YouTube channel? They are hilarious. Yes, I watch them. I don't watch them religiously, but they are my favorite. of all the people who started doing that kind of show after Blazer Maze. He was the very, very first one, and everybody else just put their spin on the same idea. But yes, Muniz is the one that I like the most. Okay, tell you what. I'm going to go to sleep. I feel extra tired tonight. I feel extra destroyed. This thing kind of worked reasonably well. I was expecting a little bit more problems. Nevertheless, we are going to start with Drag Money. I am almost finished with the script for the first video. I will release a small teaser next week. Then we will have another live stream. And then the first video will start coming out. And then I hope to make it every couple of weeks. So let's hope hell won't break loose. And we will see what happens. I guess we will just see what happens. I will post some pictures of the dog on Discord. Especially next Saturday when we see him again. But I will keep you posted. If you see me disappearing from one moment to another, it means that I will not disappear from one moment to another. But if you see me like stop publishing videos for 2 months, it's because we got the dog. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for subscribing to the new channel. I will see you next week, and I will also see you on Discord if you are on Discord. In the meantime, have a good night and have a great week. I'll see you soon. Good night.